If you have aspirations that I might look at you as a serious individual, the one thing that you really need in my book to be looked at that way is consistency. I get that things may look the same and not actually be so. That's something that's true. Even so, when people choose to act differently when things are more or less the same, you can count on my taking them as being less solid than if they were consistent in their outlook and resultant activities. Hello and welcome to the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt. Today is Monday, the 9th of February of 2021. Welcome to everybody who's here on Rumble, on the podcast, or on YouTube. The subject, as I think, well, I probably haven't said yet, but the subject of today's little video is not my president. Excuse me. I get that people, particularly those on the left, but maybe even many on the right, did not like how Donald Trump did business when sitting in the office of the President of the United States. I can respect that fact. I can. Believe it or not, I can respect it. That said, if what people like me believe is true, I have infinitely more reason to use the expression "not my president" than most such folks. It's one thing if you believe someone was validly, reasonably elected to office. It's another if you don't. Where there was talk about election interference in the 2016 election, even though investigations on that may still be ongoing, we know that they lasted well into the period in which the former president was seated. Nothing has ever been proven. And then it's not like there haven't been investigations to beat the band. You can make the same argument at present, but truthfully, before the current president was even in office, before he'd even gotten his chair warm, most investigation, and in my way of thinking, there wasn't any really serious poking and prodding to begin with, was done. The thing of it is this. You can say Donald Trump was not your president. And you can say that based on the fact that you think he was not elected in a valid election. I'd love to see the proof of that if you're saying that. That's great. That's wonderful that you believe that. Now show me. Show me that it's true. We have a bunch of people who've made a bunch of statements. We have a bunch of affidavits, which are essentially the same as giving evidence in court, and you're literally subject to perjury as a result, of people who say that there were issues with the 2020 election. And yet, before, as I say, the current president's chair was warm, most of the talk about that was shot down, right? So I'm going to say this again. You think what you want, but if in your mind it's okay for you to say about Donald J. Trump, he was not my president on the basis of such issues as election fraud, you need to know very well that I can do likewise and should do likewise where Mr. Biden is concerned. Because, in fact, I think there's a lot more reason to expect or believe that there was fraud in the 2020 election than there was in the 2016 election. And again, that's based on what has been proven about the 2016 election, all the talk having been put aside. Now, here's the thing. If what you're saying is it has nothing to do with the election, I just don't believe in the things that Donald Trump did when he was in office, I'm going to go, yeah, well, okay, I get that, and you can have that opinion. But that doesn't mean that if the guy was elected to office, you have the right to say he's not the president. He may not be a president that you like or that you support, and that's fine. Let me tell you something. I can promise you that the current guy in office is not going to be a president that I like or support. That's just not something that's going to happen, okay? So, if in your opinion, it wasn't about Trump, having a free and fair election, then it must have been about something else. And the only I can come up with, I didn't like his tweets, your feelings were hurt or whatever. And I'm sorry that that's true, but it doesn't change whether or not he did good things when he was in office, right? If, on the other hand, you believe that he did bad things when he was in office, I'd love to see how. I can make some serious statements right now that would make Joe Biden look like a terrible human being. And the thing of it is, if I did that, you should know that I would be making statements that sound good on the face of them, but they're not valid. I can make some other statements about Joe Biden that are actually things that are problematic that he's doing. And they are the things that I would talk about if I were to explain to you why I would use the expression "not my president" where Joe Biden was concerned. With regard to Mr. Trump, if you can prove to me that he did things that were horrible things while he was in office, I'd love to hear about it. I've heard people say all kinds of things. Everything I've heard of to this point has been either disproven or is not even worth talking about. I'll just tell you that now. He did some things before he came in office. There's no doubt of that. And I'm going to say this again. I did a video called Redemption, basically, in which I talked about the idea that people change. People become different people over the course of time, and that's life. And you should get used to that as an idea. So I'm not talking about what Mr. Biden did before he became president. I'm talking about things that he did after he became president. And I'm here to tell you that there were some serious problems with some of those things. Or there are some serious problems with some of those things. I can talk about things before if you really want, and you're not going to like what I have to say. And if you check it out, you will find that what I'm saying is true. Okay? Some of it is stuff that he's suspected of, and obviously there's that whole pesky innocent until proven guilty thing where those things are concerned. That doesn't mean he won't ever be proven guilty of those things, but to this point he has not been proven guilty of those things. But I'm not talking about conjecture. I'm talking about things that you can look at in the past and in the present. Look at the number of executive orders that he signed in the first, week that he was in office. Compare that to what anybody prior to Mr. Biden signed into law, if you want to call it law. It's not technically really law. Signed as executive orders. Compared to anybody else, you will find nobody who is close. What happened? How was that true? Why is that the case? How did he suddenly stop the world, in 5 days or 7 days or whatever? How's that true? These are problems for me. So again, if you want to talk about who has the right to say "not my president" on the basis of election validity, I don't think you can make a statement about Donald Trump that I haven't heard before, and I haven't heard one that, as far as I know, holds water to this point in time. With regard to Mr. Biden, it's fair to say that there are serious questions to the validity of the election, and I could talk about that, but I'm not going to. And I'm not going to say I know, I'm just going to say there are serious questions. Okay? But that aside, if you want to talk about, like I say, where an individual is actually in office and is doing things, I really think that unless you can come up, I know that unless you can come up with stuff that I'm not aware of where people have said that Donald Trump did things that he shouldn't have done while he was in office, you really have nothing to talk to me about. And I have news for you. I don't think you're going to have that happen. Mr. Biden has just stepped into the office 2 or 3 weeks ago, however long it's been now. It's been a very short time. And yet he's already done a bunch of things over which I have serious heartburn. And I promise you I'm not alone. There are literally a lot of people who voted for Mr. Biden, as far as I can tell, who at this point in time are suffering serious buyer's remorse. They're really wondering what they did, who they put in office. And I'm here to tell you that where Donald Trump can't be found to have broken promises when he came into office, but where it may have taken a while, actually upheld and kept promises that he made when he came in office. So far, Mr. Biden has already broken a series of promises that he made before he came in office. If you want to look at just a couple, you can look at things like what's happening to the pipeline that he's basically decided he's shutting down. And while you're at it, you can look at the things that can be said about fracking jobs that he said he wasn't going to shut down, and yet immediately made an executive order that basically did exactly that for any new fracking, killing any new jobs that might have been produced by that activity. Now, of course, the jobs that are there technically are probably safe, probably at least for a little while. But the point is, you can't tell me that he hasn't broken promises that he made to various people along the way. All right, it's about time for me to sum up, and I'm going to do exactly that. Again, you want to say that Donald Trump was not your president, I have as much, if not more, right to say that about Joe Biden. I'm not trying to say that if it can't be shown that the election was thrown. If it can, I have a serious problem, and yes, I can say he's not my president. The fact is, if he was elected into office, even if I don't like what he's doing, technically he is, quote, my president. That doesn't mean I have to like him, and it doesn't mean I have to support what he does, as is true with anybody who has anybody as a president. All right, it is, as I say, the 9th of February of 2021. Today is Tuesday, and I'm glad to have you along again, whether you're on Rumble, on the podcast, or on YouTube. Thank you for coming along. Thank you for sitting through this video. Remember that you can click the like button or the Rumble button on YouTube and Rumble respectively if you like what you see today. And remember that that helps me to know what I'm doing, as well as making it so that folks know that I'm out there and maybe we'll actually get a chance to see what I'm doing. Hope you're having a good day, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video was recorded on Tuesday, February 9th of 2021. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, or maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that. And you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S, .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.